My name's Eric Humphrey. I'm based in Atlanta. My website is erichumphrey.com, and I mainly shoot entertainment and celebrity portrait advertising work.
Yeah, and I'm Marcus Smith. My website is marcus-smith.com, and I mainly work with athletes.
And my name is Parrish Lewis. I am majorly known as a unit still photographer, but also a portrait photographer. My website is my name, parishlewis.com, two R's and an H. And
We already doing old school too, by the way, because we giving websites.
we gotta bring websites. Yeah, we are old. So you officially crossed over. I done pulled y'all on the old side.
TikToks.
Well, my IG is Parrish_Lewis. What's your IG?
And mine is marcus.chi.
And my TikTok is Eric Humphrey.
Oh, he went with the TikTok.
But everything for me is just my name, Eric Humphrey. So
your Instagram is Eric Humphreys?
yeah.
First of all, we all in a group chat together. We've been have all known each other in some capacity for a long time. I'm the one that knew both of y'all and connected us all together. So, P, I met you when I was 18. So it's been 20 years. It's been 20 years now since I've been knowing you. And then I met Eric, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. Maybe 8 to 10, something like that. And we kind of been around each other and stuff to some capacity. And then I think the first time we all three met together was when we did that Adidas job together in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of the first time that we all spent time together. And then, me and UP, we've been living in Chicago together. And then now you live in Atlanta with Eric, which is crazy. So, and we all in a group chat together and we kind of just talk photography business and investing and life and all that is, basically three black men trying to, from three different generations, me being still in my 30s, not for too much longer. I'm making 40. Yeah, I'm making 40 in May.
That's so good, man. That's crazy. We knew each other that long. I've known you since you was 18. That's insane.
Yeah. And so I'm making 40 in May, but not being in my 30s too much longer, but me being in my 30s and then Eric being in his 40s and then you being in your 50s, like we all come together and we all from three different industries in a way, even though we all in commercial photography. Like I do a lot of stuff with athletes and sports and advertising. Eric doing a lot of stuff with key art and celebrities and entertainers and stuff. And then you kind of mixing between the key art and being unit stills and working the union side of things and having that insight, so we all mix that together and talk about the changes that we're seeing and the things that we think are happening in the industry to kind of stay ahead of things. And then also just like be there for each other as support, as three black men that's navigating life with kids and
Wives,
traveling and wives and all that stuff. And so you just need a sounding board sometimes. So sometimes it's just that too. But now we taking the show on the road and kind of, putting something out to show people and what the conversation is like.
Yeah. You know what I'm gonna say though is that it's fantastic. Like I tell my wife all the time how much the group chat with you guys mean to me. It's like I got it pinned. I know it's some old shit, but the young guys be saying you got to pin that conversations.
Yeah,
I pinned it because it's my most used, most checked group chat. And I'm not real like as y'all know right now at this point. I'm sure I don't really engage a lot on group chats. But I learned so much, man, especially like investment pieces. I learned so much from y'all. It's just crazy. I just look in just to kind of like, oh shit, I didn't know that. And I started building my thing and doing that just based off of the inspiration, which goes, it's a testament to say like iron sharpens iron and who you keep around. It's like how you grow. And you guys have opened up that whole investment world to me.
Yeah, because even with that piece, like we all three are kind of in three different places, even with that. Like P, you are invested in real estate and you're not as big on the stocks and stuff. as me and Eric are. But then even within the stock game, like I'm kind of navigating that, doing that myself. And then Eric is using, a financial advisor or somebody that he's leaning on for that stuff. So we always find like the middle ground of where we kind of agree on things, even though like our approaches are a little different. But at the end of the day, like I think it's just important that we even talking about it and even strategizing about it. And we got a platform and like a space where we can kind of just like be honest and talk openly about what we doing.
I mean, I would say like holistically, our group chat. One, I'm like UP. I'm terrible with group chats.
Mm.
Like my wife, we all these family group chats, and
Yeah.
then school, all these things. I don't engage in at all. This is literally the only group chat that I am consistently engaged in, and it's been invaluable.
Yeah.
Like I've always thought about like creatively, and just being black men. Like it's good having a community is the
Mm.
most important thing. Like having peers, having people you can talk to about things. Like to understand, I got single friends I can't talk to about marriage things. I
Mm.
got friends that work in corporate that have more traditional jobs, outside of the creative world. Like I can't talk to about that stuff. I
Mm.
got people without kids that, I can't talk to about the challenges of having kids. Like, and I found like this is unique that all three of us, we all have kids, we all work in creative, we all married, like we all are like navigating a lot of similar things in life at the same time that I can go to, and either we can have talk on the group text or we can talk in person or we can talk on the phone. Yeah, it means a lot to me to have that.
Let's talk about that the evolution. Like like Marcus, it's crazy that I've known you this long, bro. Let's like you in this time right now. There's a lot of people that's starting out in photography. There's a lot of people that's
Yeah.
serious about photography. I heard that we were like cassette tapes now. you know, I heard photographers is old and we're all like cassette tapes. But what let's if we take a moment and talk about our evolution, like where did things start for you, and how do you still keep yourself, attracting new opportunities?
Since I was young, I've been like into creative stuff, like drawing, and I was real heavy into coloring when I was real little, but like, and so that's been driving me for a long time. But then also like being from, the hood in Chicago, I feel like you just like the hustle spirit is kind of like just there. Like you kind of pick that up from just like being in a neighborhood, being around people that's trying to make it work. And so then like my family, my mom is kind of like the architect of that for my family, as far as like being somebody that's been entrepreneurially focused for a long time, like always just trying to think like how she can use her skill set to like get ahead and make a dollar, especially in moments when, work wasn't always like, we not always the first people thought of for work, and thought of as being people that's put in position where we getting compensated for, the skills that we bring to the table. And so that was the position my mom was always in, especially as somebody that didn't go to college and was coming from like a situation where she was moving from the South, where she lived on the farm until she was like basically like 13, 14 years old, like a legit farm, like no running water, no electricity in the house, like outhouse in Mississippi type thing. And so me coming from just like one generation removed from that kind of lifestyle, you basically are just being pushed to think about like how can I be self motivated? How can I take advantage of my skills? So me having that artistic skill set early, I was already hustling that to the kids that I was going to school with, like trying to sell my art to them and trying to draw little stuff for them or whatever. And
Selling your
so I
art
was
at school?
starting that process early.
Wow. So you was hustling early in school selling your art.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I was like 5, 6 years old, I was already thinking about how to marry like art and commerce together.
Mm.
Then I started being into music as I got older, reading like collecting the Source magazine, Double XL, and all that, and kind of like just draw. I used to just after school sit for hours just drawing photorealistic versions of the covers and stuff from that. And that was, to me, I was already training my eye on photography doing that because I was looking at photography all the time, you know. And then moving on from that, I started getting into like graphic design and the digital version of that when I was in college. That actually is what got me into photography because I would have ideas and stuff where I couldn't necessarily find the background or the image that I wanted for what I needed to do online, and I would be like, man, if I could just take a picture or something, then I could use that. And so trying to take pictures of stuff to use in that like way, I wasn't getting the results I wanted because the pictures were bad. You know, was then led me to think that it was just about the camera. You know, the same mistake you always make in the beginning. You think it's all about the gear and
What
stuff.
camera you use?
So yeah, exactly. So then I'm thinking if I get a better camera, then that'll fix everything. And so I begged my mom for a camera for my 21st birthday, and she actually at first she was like, nah, you know, I'm not getting that. And then she surprised me and got me a little entry level like Nikon E40 or whatever. And so I got that, started messing around with that, and the pictures were still bad. That got me wanting to learn how to take better pictures, and I just got so into that process that kind of took over everything else. And after that, it was just a wrap. I was just so stuck on photography after that because it was something so new to me and something that I was discovering that needed so much skill to be good at, and that's kind of the things that interest me. It's like, man, you only gonna be so good as good as you put the time in. So I just picked it up and started. That was like all I wanted to do in my free time in college, and so that was kind of the beginning of my like photography story, if you will.
Is that still the same hustle that you applied now being at the top? I mean, you're at the top of the fucking game, dog.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how you get there. It's like, I remember in the beginning, I get out of college and I got my degree, my business degree, and it's 2008 when I'm getting out. It's like financial crisis when I'm getting out of school, like chaos and havoc in the
Sort
job
of like
market.
now, right?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, sort of like now. So it's
Yeah.
like chaos and havoc in the job market. But my mom was like had enough forethought to just be like, this is probably like a good time for you to risk take because it can't get much worse than it already is. So rather than me just going out and trying to look for a job and moving back home, my mom was like, why don't you try going to photo school and see what that's like, see if it work out. If it don't, then you do your business school thing and try to get a job within that. So I did that, ended up meeting Gary Land, worked and became cool with him, and he offered me a job with him, and I ended up working for him for 3 years. And that was the first time that I met somebody that was like on the level of like a commercial photographer that was like doing commercials and doing ad campaigns and stuff. Like I didn't even know that side of photography was really a thing, until I met him and started working for him. And it was just like right out the gate, I'm like traveling the world, kind of learning the business at like 23, 24 years old, And so once I felt like I had that, I moved back to Chicago and started doing that. And once I got to that point, it's all a hustle from there.
Yeah,
like
awesome.
nobody knows you. Nobody knows your name. Like
Yeah.
you're not getting no concessions. Plus you black,
Yeah.
So it's like you got like you got the whole thing against you. And I think that even back then, like being a minority in the space was even more difficult when it was like, it's crazy to say that in 2011, 2012, but yeah, the space for us was even less progressive back then than it is now, with that big wall of like, of just doubt and stuff. You gotta hustle and gotta be trying to do as much as you can to make a little progress, like every day, and that's how I was doing it. Like I was just inching along, it wasn't every day. I wasn't like getting these big moves that wasn't getting made like every day. Sometimes it was like I was doing something as small as like, okay, I sent the email out. Then other days it was something big, like, man, this ad agency hits you back and like they actually want you to bid on a project. And back then it was like bid. I didn't even know what a bid was.
Well, let's put a pin in that for a minute because let's put a pin in that for a minute because you said something that made me think about Eric. Right? I want to hear your story because what I know of you or how you've always operated with me and been inspired to me is like you like a networking dude. You love to network, but I want to understand like what's your story? How did you get how I don't know your origin story. You know what I'm saying? I see that, you know, in the beginning, you know, I was just drawn to your work because you had all the celebrities early on. I mean, you the first black photographer I seen like with the person that's big at that time was Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? early Beyonce.
Yeah.
But how did things start up for you, man?
Like the origin really started when I was a kid. My mom was the first person to put a camera in my hand when I was, I don't know, 4 years. I got this picture. I'm like 4 years old, and I got a Polaroid camera around my neck. And I just remember as a kid, like I had an SLR. I would carry it everywhere. I was taking pictures all over. I grew up in Baltimore, so all over Baltimore City. I went to this program at City College where they taught you how to develop film, taught you about photography, and I like fell in love with it back then. And so my mom died when I was 11, and then that kind of like changed things. I stopped pursuing a lot. She had me in all types of arts, and that kind of like all went to the wayside.
Your mom an artist? Was she an artist? Like,
she was a teacher.
She was a teacher. Got it.
Yeah, she taught in public schools the gifted program. So she had like exposure and like knowledge just about everything going on around in the city. So like city was like a public school that she had relationships with, and they're like, oh, they got this program that offers photography. We learned how to play like the cello and the violin and like all types of stuff that like kids in Baltimore City, like we were back in the 80s, that wasn't a thing for them. But I was fortunate that was a thing for us, because like my grandmother was also an educator. And so after like I kind of like faded away from like the arts and just focused mainly on school and the books, but I always had eventually got to the point like I was always hustling, like always had a job. I just had a conversation with my wife and kid about how many jobs I had from the time I was a kid till when I got out of college, and it was like 20 some jobs that I've had. So I'm doing all. So I was always trying to make money, always trying to do something, and so I bought like a camera with the money I made, like a little point and shoot. I carried that around all the time, and then as they got better, I remember I had like a little Sony one that you pulled apart, and it was like.
At what point did you say camera? Why camera that you decided to buy for yourself?
I just like back then, I was always hanging out with my friends, and I wanted to remember like we would be having good times, and I was like super outgoing. Like I was always outgoing. Like I'm throwing hotel parties when I'm in high school. Like I want to remember this stuff. Like we having good times. I was like always about kicking it, I guess. I'm still kind of about it, but like back then I was really about kicking it. I was like, well, we got to take pictures of this so we remember it. And this is pre, obviously now, social media, camera phones, all that. It was pre all that. And even when I went like, you know, photography was like just a thing, me carrying the camera, capturing memories of me and my friends. But I always in the back of my mind was like, man, I want to get back into it. I don't know what happened to my first film camera. Like I would go back home to Baltimore when I was college, looked all through our house for it, could never find it. Cause I was like, I want to get back into it like on a more serious level. You know, I go off to corporate and I work at 2 different tool companies, like totally different. But it taught me so much. Not one about networking, about managing a customer. I got to travel the world with my corporate job. So I was a product manager and I was an account manager. So product manager, like you take something from concept all the way to the store shelves. Okay. And then account manager was where I had one big account, Home Depot, and I just managed that relationship. And you deal with like product a little bit, but it's mainly about managing a relationship. Yep. So like all those skills are the same thing I do now in photography. Like I take a concept from concept to delivery, same as a product manager. And then I am constantly managing a relationship in multiple directions. Like I'm managing a relationship with my customers. I'm managing relationships with all my crew and my producers. I'm managing a relationship with my rep. Like it's like 360 of relationship management.
And that's what I
So
tell people. A lot of times, photography is more relationship driven than anything else. You know, it's like it's relationship driven. You drill that in me every time. Like, P, you ain't reaching out to these people. So,
and so I did 10 years, about 10 years in corporate, and when I quit to pursue photography full time, I was like, I'm 29 years old. I need to like make up time because it's like in my mind I was like, it's all these people that went to college for it and all this stuff. Like I gotta close the gap between me and them.
yeah.
Because they got a 9 year. Then I said some people have been doing this since they were kids. They got a head start on me that I need to close the gap. So I was obsessive. I did test shoots all the time early on, like multiple test shoots a week, multiple test shoots a day. I was doing.
But hold on. So you say these test shoots. How did you? I guess it's your relationship management skills, right? Because how would you even know to approach the person to let them know your concept that you was even trying to build? I mean, I guess it's coming. Right? How did you build these test shoots with?
So the first thing, and again, this is so I think MySpace was the thing. Like Instagram wasn't really big back then. Like Facebook was the thing. But I remember I went out to LA and I met a photographer named Elton, and he was like, "Yo, you need to build some work. Let's go to Hawaii." He had been doing test shoots and kind of told me all about it. He's like, "We'll go to Hawaii and set up a test shoot." He's like, "We can use my work to go to the agencies." I didn't know what modeling agencies were. He was like, "We'll use my work to go to the agencies and we'll be able to get the models and you can just shoot the same models that I'm shooting." I was like, "Bet." So we did that, spent a week in Hawaii, shot a bunch of people. Then I came back to Atlanta trying to it was like 2 modeling agencies here. I emailed them, I think. I tried to call them and I even tried to do like a cold walk-in on them. And they weren't trying to meet with me. So I was like, man, I need to do something different. I need to switch it up. So I was like, I'm going to go to LA for a week. I had a homegirl that was a hygienist in LA. I went out there for a week. And on that Monday, I went to like 15 different modeling agencies. And I would walk in I had an iPad with my iPad. And on the first picture was my best picture from the Hawaii test shoot. And so I would walk in and be like, listen, I'm trying to meet with somebody. And I had a picture like full on display. And it's like just a receptionist. And so out of the 15, like 6 of them brought out one of the reps for me to meet with. And then they were like, "Do you want to shoot this week?" And I was like, "Yeah." They were like, "All right, we'll send you," they used to call them a package. And so basically a package was a link to an email with a bunch of different models on it that you could pick from to shoot. And so I set up, by Wednesday, I was doing 2 shoots a day. I would have a 6 a.m. call and a 4 p.m. call. So I could get the morning light and the evening light. And I did that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That following week, I flew to New York, called my buddy. I was like, "Yo, I just did all this work. I need to come to New York and I need you." He worked at BBDO and he was an account person. But all I knew, he worked at an advertising agency. So I was like, "I need you to introduce me to all your people at this agency." And he was like, "I got you, just come." So I get there, he introduced me to like 3 people, but one of them was his producer, like a junior producer. Her name was Callie. And she was like, "Your work," she was like, "Do you want me to tell you the truth?" And I was like, "Yeah, I need you to." I was all confident, like, "This is great work. When are you hiring me?" And she's like, "Your work sucks." She's like, "You got a little bit of potential."
This is All In Represents, right?
Yeah, she now has her own agency, All In Represents. She's like, "Your work, it sucks." She was like, "But I see some potential. You seem a little driven." She was like, "If you're serious about it, you need to move to either LA or New York, and you need to shoot all the time." And so at the time I was living in Atlanta, I was like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna move to LA." Because I had liked the vibe from when I was out there for the week. I liked the weather. I was on the outdoor shit. So I sold all my stuff. Like I went back to Atlanta. It took me 3 weeks to sell everything, get my house rented. I was in LA a month later. And then I was there for 10 years, hustling, shooting all the time. And what I would do, I would shoot for 3 weeks straight, and then I'd go to New York and try to get a meeting.
Okay.
For a week. So I did that for like a year. Like 3 weeks of shooting, go to New York for a week to show the work. And at first it would be, I'm back at BBDO, meeting the same people I just met, but I'm like, cool, that's the only people I can meet with. I'm gonna go show them my new stuff.
Yep.
And then it became, over time, I started either getting introduced to more people and just like through attrition, like met more people. and then opportunities started coming to actually shoot real jobs.
That's dope. So that's wonderful because it goes back to, talking about your drive. It all goes back to your initial experience, kind of just coming in. What I keep hearing both of you talk about too is the hustle. A lot of times people often talk when people talk to me about photography, they're talking about, well, I don't know how to hustle. How do you get out here and you do this work? How do you find these opportunities? Or I have to build this skill. Or I can't really do this until I have this thing done, and then I can go after these people. But I want to know how. And what I always tell people is like, you really, it's a long-term play, sort of like how life is. You need that hands-on life experience. And a lot of times you can't really get that experience until you go, and I always say this, but pardon my French, but you got to fuck some shit up, right? You got to really fuck up things. You got to put yourself, you got to be unafraid really to say, all right, cool, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to go after this thing. Because my hustle was, I tell people all the time, my hustle was hustling rolls of film. Did you guys start with film or start with digital? Was it digital?
I was mainly like by the time I got into it as a career, it was digital.
Yeah.
I was way into my career by the time the first time I touched film. It was all digital
Yeah, and that's the
when I
thing,
first got
right?
in.
And that's what helps us. That's the generational thing, right? Because I come in this whole thing where everybody now everybody's fascinated and want to go film. I just find it too expensive that you're spending all that money on film. But I did it because that was my start. Is all film. But I say people, I coined the phrase "hustling rolls of film," right? Because that's how I started. When I started photography, it was mostly about I was trying to model. and and the guy who was taking, I remember the guy who took my picture, he charged me like $65 per roll of film. And at that point, the model game was over for me because that was about the hustle. I'm very much so like you, Marcus, come from the hood in Chicago. Grew up living. We grew up actually in the projects, and I didn't know a person that was a photographer. Like for me, everybody who I knew they did trades, or they had a job, or they went to college. They went away to college. I didn't have that experience to go away to college, so I don't have that college experience.
Yeah.
Well, what I did have is that grind. Like I saw for many, many, many years, my grandma in the gardens was the candy lady. Not only was she the candy lady, she was also the local area seamstress, and then she was the babysitter. She was juggling all of these things. So I only grew up in a house where I saw my grandmama. She didn't have one job; she had many.
Right.
So when I saw my man doing that, my first thought was, okay, I'm gonna try to model thing because my head got big and people started telling me, oh, you should model. So I went got the photos done, got charged this money, and it flipped from that. I saw a bigger opportunity. Like, wait a minute, I can take this roll of film and just charge for this roll of film. I just got to get good at giving up like 5 or 6 good shots and then kind of keep it going. So my hustle was hustling the rolls of film. I would sell my photography through rolls of film until I got other opportunities to move forward.
The only other thing I want to say, like Marcus brought up the point about like this wall, and I think he called it the wall of I forget to me it's like always these wall of challenges, and I feel like I faced that my whole career. Like even to this day, like it's a wall of challenge. But I used to, and I still to this day, always looked at that wall as like I don't care if ain't no door there. Like I'm breaking through this wall. Like it may take me some time, but I'm gonna break through this wall eventually, and I'm not gonna stop until I do.
What's the wall that you see in front of you today?
Oh man, today it's honestly like the wall of I still have like you always I still have this if I'm not constantly working, if I'm not on these big projects. I've never shot a theatrical movie poster, right? And that's definitely something that I want to do. And that to me is like a wall of a challenge that I need to break through. I know I've been very fortunate in my career and I've done like amazing projects, but I don't want to just rest on that. Like I want to continue to grow and do more and bigger and more exciting and more creative projects.
As you should. Marcus, what's that wall for you?
Really like managing like keeping a good balance. Like, keeping a good balance between where I'm at with, work and life, and taking care of like myself and taking care of like being around and at home and being present at home. where you can like almost be so busy sometimes that you like, or you're just thinking about work all the time, you know. And that's not really what we got into it for either. You know, at least for me, it's not. Like I didn't get into this profession to become like a slave to the job now. You know, there is a level of freedom that I enjoy by being like an entrepreneur type person and being a freelance person. There's a level of freedom that I enjoy from doing that. Like, you know, it's 10:30 in the morning on a Friday. I'm on here talking to y'all. You know, I like you can't do that when you have a normal 9 to 5, trying to manage that and trying to make sure I keep a good balance with that.
I want to pause right there for a minute and really build on that because I was at a I was on a roll one year. I want to say right before COVID hit, I was on this nonstop run, like just constant work, 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 work,
Hmm.
opportunities coming my way, and I said no to a job. I think it was Black Panther. They reached out to me. It was the first Black Panther to come out to shoot Black Panther. But I was on the road back to back to back. I'm shooting all these. I'm doing stills on all these movie projects, and got the call. I remember I had just wrapped on a movie, and I got this call. You know, Paris, you available? It was Black Panther. Blah blah blah. I called my wife on my way. Yo, you never believe this. They want me to go shoot Black Panther, and she's like, "How you feel?" I said, "I'm exhausted. I don't know if I got it in me to kind of keep going, but I'm afraid to say no. Because if I say no, these doors may not come open for me again. And then I'm gonna be jealous of whoever do get the opportunity." Right? And today, I still regret the fact that I turned that call down. Right? But only because of the impact of the movie. Things didn't slow up for me, but it was that break. It was that much needed break. And fortunately, what the whole world sat still during that time, right? Because then we entered into COVID, and then everybody had to
Hmm.
just kind of pause. But I only wanted to kind of tell that story and shed a light, or kind of stop on this for a moment, is because one thing for sure is that if there's anybody that's on a run right now in photography, brother, is you. So anybody who listening to this or watching this us talk or whatever, if you get an opportunity and you check out Marcus Smith and you see the amazing work that you do, the creative eye. I mean, Eric and I are always talking about this dude just don't stop. I mean, how could somebody be that freaking creative? You know, and then also too to have that many opportunities still coming your way, and it's the dream most people want to have as a photographer. Yeah, I would love to be working as much as you. At the same time, I got this full time family. I got
Yeah.
meaning this wife who needs engagement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got to interact. I love my wife. We got to engage. We got to interact. We got to go on dates.
Yeah.
So I can't
Yeah.
really, do that and then be gone the whole time because our career doesn't allow for us to just go punch a clock from 9 to 5 and go do this other shit.
Yeah.
Free pros,
Man, listen.
yeah, all kind of
Listen,
things.
man, I'm spending money on, flights for my family because of that. You know, yeah, I'm working a job, but my family's coming with me. We went to Barcelona earlier this year over the summer. Then we went to Bangkok a few weeks ago, just like 2 weeks ago. And now we about to go to Milan
And these are
uh
work trips.
and yeah, these are work trips.
Eric, do you find yourself like how do you juggle like work life balance? Like you got kids that you got in school, and I mean, how are you going back and
I
forth?
think
You got productions.
I think for me, it's really about like when I'm home, I try to be super present, and super active in their lives. Like with my oldest son, like I coach his football team. Or I coached his football team for years, and like if I had a job and we got games Friday night, if I'm out in LA and I gotta catch a red eye to be back, like whatever it took for me to be back, for the most part, like unless I'm shooting that day, like I'm gonna be there no matter what the inconvenience is. Like I was just in LA for a thing that our agency did, and the next day we had committed to taking our son to Alabama for a football game. And I'm like, all right, I gotta be in LA. I flew to LA Friday morning. I was on a red eye Friday night, and I was in the car Saturday morning driving to Alabama, taking to the game. So it's not always easy is I'm definitely not complaining about it. Like it's just I realize, work is going to take me different places, and I may be away from my family at times. But then when I'm here, like
You
it's
locked in.
important for me to like be present, be locked in, be active in their lives.
I can agree to that because being away on those movies, that one time when I told you I had to take that pause or that break, even within that pause or break, I would make it a thing where I come home every weekend, no matter where I'm traveling to. Want to switch gears real quick to one more thing that I think would be good for us to kind of chat about, and that's photography in the era of motion, right? So as you think about the jobs that we get, Marcus, you briefly touched on this, and when you talk about doing stills,
Yeah.
I got this whole thing right now where I'm trying to start this thing where this movement on They Call Me Stills. You see me posting on my socials, I'll be there with my camera, and you see all of the motion cameras behind me. But now we're in a world where is that we went from being in demand, photography being in demand, or that thing, everything was going to print, to now everything is moving, everything is in motion. I don't necessarily have a desire to do a lot of motion. My first love and my heart is photography. I love photography. I'm working with big movie productions all day long. I know I've even, you guys know, I've even tried to swap my hat to do from doing stills to doing camera operating. I was trying to go down that path and operate it on a TV show, but I still went back to the stills because that's where everything kind of like roots for me, and that's what I love the most. But now that we're living in this era, and even the jobs that we're getting now, it's shooting alongside motion, where motion gets the priority. If you guys can take out the time and really talk to me about what's your viewpoint on stills, and how do you navigate in a world that don't see you as priority anymore? You're the backup to the motion.
A lot of my sets, I am shooting alongside motion. It's always a big motion piece being shot for the majority of the things that I work on, especially commercially. In the PR world, it's a little bit different, but in the commercial world, advertising world, they're always doing some huge motion thing. They're always doing some social piece, and then they always got stills involved in the ones that I'm at. And I think for me, it's really been about building a collaboration with the motion team. Like, I get it. I show up. Motion got 100 people. I got 4 or 5 people. But like, it's a dance. So yeah, it's a world of like motion is always happening. But I get like, we dealing with big celebrities and stuff. They only are giving the client a limited amount of time. But then the client has this long list of things that they want to get from this celebrity, because they paying these celebrities a ton of money. And they're like, well, we want to get as much as we can from them because of what we're paying them. I'm like, all right, let's dance, y'all. Let's figure out how we get them what they need. Like, these jobs, this ain't no personal art piece that I'm making. Like, I'm serving a client that has a need, and I'm like, I'm here to serve those needs.
Yeah.
The biggest difference to me is that you don't get your ego stroked as much. As a photographer, you don't.
Yeah.
Like you still, like, to me, I'm still important. And like my clients tell me that all the time. Like, they tell me that I'm important all the time. Like, and I can see that they value what I do when I see it out in the world. When I go out and I'm seeing the billboards and I'm seeing the ad buys and stuff. That stuff not cheap. Sometimes I think motion can get sort of perceived as being the shiny toy that everybody is paying attention to, because it does require more resources, just by the nature of what it is. It's just, if they have something technical that need to get done, they can't do it with 2 or 3 people like we can. They need sometimes a whole team of 10, 12 people to do something. So it's like, that's the difference, is that, like, you're not always walking in and everybody not kissing your feet. And I don't, and for me, because of when I came in to the game, like, that's not really important for me. Like, that's not something that I care about. Like, I am cool with just being respected by the crew, being respected by the director, and I would say that, like, 9.9 times out of 10 that is the case.
Yeah, those are great stories, but to your point, I work on the movie sets a lot, and it took me years before I grew the confidence and understood my positioning, because I would feel like I got the lower treatment. Like, all right, it's just stills. I'm the one-man show on any movie set. every day that everybody comes. It's crazy because everybody comes to set with a camera, right? But then they don't look at. I felt earlier on that they didn't look at me as a necessity because they felt like, oh, I got my own camera. You know, what are these photos going to be used for? The big thing that people constantly say to me still is, what are they going to use your photos for? It's like, well, how do you think this movie's going to get sold? First question that you feel. I mean, as unfortunately, as small as some people think about it, they see all this big movie equipment coming through. They see all these big cranes coming through, and then I show my case, my Pelican case, and my 4 or 5 cameras, and I'm there walking around as a one-man show, and they wonder like, damn, what are they doing with all them photos? Well, the goal is that the story is built over time. And when they bring me in, it's not like I'm going there. I'm looking for the right moments to capture. I'm looking for those moments that can be caught, that can tell the story to push this movie in advertising, right? Where you can see them on the boulevards and on the billboards, because it's until you know your purpose, being on a set, on any set, you tend to know how to move and how to operate and how to grab those moments. And I think that's what the three of us collectively bring, is the instinct, because it's an instinct, right? I'm not going to take that picture, or I'm going to take that picture, or I need to direct this a little bit more and kind of bring this together to tell this story.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid of the talent. You know, I work with A-list talent all the time. You can't be afraid to go and speak to them, because you got this thing that kind of the studio is trusting me for my instinct to just grab somebody at any moment to be able to shoot. And I used to like get jealous, like, oh, they bringing this big key art guy coming in. Here comes Eric with his equipment. He's coming in to shoot this big key art thing. He's doing the setup. And I'm sitting on the sideline. But then you start to understand, like, oh, wait a minute. I'm here every day. I'm building rapport. I'm telling the story. I'm in my own world. At that point, when I'm on this movie set, I'm a part of this whole world, and I can capture anything that I see fit. And the studio has my back. All right, as long as you're grabbing these images, you're telling a story, you're curating a story within the story. I'm telling a story from about the movie, and I'm telling a story on how the movie is being made. And over time, it starts to make sense. Like, I get it. I know my purpose. But that takes time, and not a lot of people understand that, right?
The only thing, like the thing that I keep hearing though, is like, it's really the ego. Like you said it earlier, like once you take your ego out of all these situations, where everybody's not like kissing your butt and everything isn't circled around you, like I think nowadays it's gonna be rare for any creative. Like we aren't the celebrity, so the only person that consistently is going to get the royal treatment is the talent. Yeah. And yes, we are part of making the talent look good and part of that thing, and some photographers are looked at as talent, but at the end of the day, talent is really the person in front of the camera. And if you take your ego out of it and don't walk into a situation like, I'm the talent, I need to be, where's my latte in my chair? And you like, look, I got this opportunity to make something cool. And I would think, I know I got into this, and then from you all, like we got into this to make stuff. Like I didn't get into this to be talented. I didn't get into this to get my ass kissed. Like I got in this because I want to make cool stuff. I like meeting interesting people and learning from them. Like, so early in my career when I was on the sets with motion happening, and they're like, oh, Stills, you're going to be over in this corner. And I was like, what do you mean? This is 40,000 square foot soundstage, and you talking about putting me in this corner? Like, why can't I get some of this other space? Like, why can't I get treated like them? And it used to, early in my career, bother me, but now I'm like, look, my ego has to be out of it, because if you allow it to like creep in, it will hurt you more than it helps you.
I think to me, that's probably more so the biggest thing that you got to have is just being adaptable and just being flexible and being positive and being humble enough to show up no matter what, like, and just put your best foot forward. To me, that's probably like the qualities that are gonna keep you working and keep opportunities coming your way and keep your network continuously growing. Because even if clients don't say it to you directly, I can tell you for sure that take takes them a little bit of the workload off of them, and you create sort of a safe space for them where they like, well, I know this is gonna get done and I don't have to worry about it. Like I know I could throw Marcus in there and like it's one more thing that I don't have to worry about.
A lot of things really fall into that, and definitely being. I think we're seeing it happen now. Whereas that the people that you see that used to work a lot isn't working, or people say like the game is changing. The game is changing, it's not the same. I just feel like it's a weeding out of the bad habits, the bad rules, the egos, and being those who can be flexible, who can go after, be problem solvers, right? Because what you don't want to be is a client's problem in the end.
That I think is important for all artists. It's just, I think, we're fortunate. We get jobs and we get compensated really well for the work that we do. And I know a lot of artists, and a lot of, especially not even artists, like I think culturally, it's like negative to talk about finances and money. And I think that has hurt more people than it's helped in that way, because what I found, even when I worked in corporate, like everybody I worked around, they talked about money and like what they were doing with it, how they were investing, how they were planning for the future. I've seen several artists, and I have like mentors, and they talk to me about like they got peers that had never talked about money, and then they had peaked when they were making a ton of money. Now they're calling them, asking for loans and asking for them to help float them because they weren't good stewards of the money and they didn't invest it properly. And I personally see in my life, like just through investing consistently, and it has given a level of like, it's reduced the level of anxiety, of inconsistency of work. It's reduced the level of like, stress from all that, because I know, and me and Marcus talk about this a lot, like if financially, like if I don't work for 2 months, the lights ain't getting turned off, we ain't going, food ain't happening. Like we just had a shutdown. I had friends that work for the government, and they went basically 45 days without work, without pay. And for some of them, it was like extremely challenging. But then for others that no matter what level you're at, how much money you made, they're like invested their money and stuff. They're like, yo, I'm gonna be good. I'll be good for a minute.
To your point though, investment. You guys have in the beginning we talked about. I talked about how you guys have opened up that for me and gave me insight to the stock piece of investments. I think it all as an artist, like as coming in as a photographer. The hardest thing for many years for me was to be able to bring in an income, right? Like, how do I even value myself to know how I'm going to divvy up this money when I finally get it, right? A lot of people kind of come into this game being so thirsty that they want to just, I want to work and I'm going to get the fame and I build my name up and all of these things are going to happen to me and then I will invest. It's a backwards approach, and I'm super guilty for it because I came in not knowing what my value was, one, reevaluating my price list, what my hourly rate is, what my day rate is, what my creative fee, didn't understand that piece of it to really understand how do I then take that lump sum or that amount for any project that I get to be able to put it off into other things like stocks and also then real estate to kind of like keep the ball moving. Because to your point, we see these turbulent times, we see this thing, and I think just beyond artists, it's necessary for everybody to like have like multiple streams and also investments. How do you divvy up your money so that way you do want some nice things in life, but then at the same time you got to like think about your future going and planning forward. So I think it all starts with anybody starting. It all starts with what's your value, like how much do we value you, or how do you value yourself in taking opportunities that you probably should, no matter your talent level. I mean, it's like, okay, let me call up Marcus, let me call up Eric. What should my day rate be?
Yeah.
This thing, like how should I be thinking about this thing? What's happening right now is that people was like, they'll get called by a production company, which is crazy. Production company say, I got this job for you. Here's what I want you to do, and it's a full day's worth of work, and it's $1,500. Well, they call the three of us. I mean, we looking at them like, you're gonna have to call somebody else. but somebody new coming in, they like, I take it. because they're not really valuing it. Because now you see that work that they did. The hope is that artist or that new young fresh blood come in. They take this 15. They take that job. They take that 1,500, and then they see that work everywhere.
You have to just like kind of uh have that be a part of your growth process, is reaching out to people and trying to find your community and find, people that are willing to help
Hmm.
and look out and do understand that the overall health of the industry is dependent on us helping each other, and it's not just like a a one man game. Like, more people driving down the price is bad for me,
Yeah.
So I need everybody to be educated about, as many people as possible to be educated about what they should be getting paid, because then that can strengthen the line. If the client is going to all these different people and they all are kind of in the same zone as far as like what something costs, then it's harder for them to just push it down if they want to seek the quality that they feel like they need to complete that job.
So a couple things that I'm on the brink of. As you guys know, I've been really toying around with, my social journey in these podcast type situations and building this. So, what keeps me inspired, as with photography, is like what you said earlier, Eric. Is people. I find people interesting, which is kind of like what drives me into photography, right? And everybody has their own story. And as I get older, I start to realize too, a lot of people learn through stories. They learn through storytelling, whether it's a visual piece, whether it's somebody's uncle sitting back telling their story on what happened about a thing. We're all entertained, even as the holidays approach. We all can't wait to get together as a family, not only just to eat, but just to hear each other's story. What have you been up to? What's been going on? And stories are what keeps us living and what keeps us laughing. So the thing that inspires me the most is everybody's story. And I'm challenging myself with, how do I then bring that to exposure, where is that I can tell this story from my point of view, right? Whether it's a portrait that I'm being taken of somebody that I find of interest and exposing this person to something else. And also too, a new thing that I'm getting started is called my Black Curtain Moment talk series. Basically talking over the photos, because the photos that I've taken in the past, I've worked on some really big projects, different movies and stuff. So I'm now giving my movie posters and my movie behind the scene movie shots a second life, whereas that I am now talking about what inspired me to capture those images. Like for example, one quick story that I tell is the one about when I was on They Clone Tyrone, and I got the shot of Jamie Foxx's hands. I don't know if you remember this, Marcus, but I called you before I actually went in onto the set, and it was dealing with the same thing that we talked about earlier, as far as that imposter syndrome and not being in the room,
Hmm.
not knowing how to be when I get there, and meeting Jamie Foxx for the first time ever. Because to me, you got Jamie Foxx on TV, who I've seen, and I've been around other celebrities before, but it wasn't Jamie Foxx. And me
Yeah.
to that room, and then seeing him for the first time, to only be the only photographer in that room, I had to make something shake. So I couldn't be there, hired by Netflix, and then not deliver. And I had to understand at that point it was instinctual, right? So I had to really kind of like overcome my fears to really get this shot. And this is one shot that I'm proud of. This is like of his hands. He got his hands folded together, and it's these rings is all over his hands. And that I shot that photo and sent it over to Netflix, and they flipped out, man. They use that photo for everything. But had I
Yeah.
not had that instinct to do it, had I not gotten over that fear after talking to you to go ahead and just make it happen, to make the best of it, I would not have had this story to be able to tell. So what inspires me is that it inspires me to tell that story to other people, so that way that they can live beyond their fears. Not only that, I got an image to kind of like do to talk over those things, though that moment.
Yeah.
Because if nothing else that I have, I got the photos that I can talk about my experiences that then inspire people to kind of like live their best versions of themselves. And that's the new
Yeah.
light that I'm trying to bring to my photography, and that's what inspires me to kind of like do more and kind of like live in that zone when it comes to
Yeah.
inspiration.
I can speak for myself when it comes to that part too. It's like, it's simple for me. I just like making heat. I think it's
You bring it. You bring it every time, brother. Every time. It's like, how do you do this?
I think to me, I look at it like I used to make beats when I was younger, and I think it's the same thing with the photography for me. Like I just like when you get the one photo or whatever from a shoot, it could just be one. And it's like, and you just see it and you like, oh my gosh, that's heat. That's the one. You get that feeling, where you know that it's just fire. For me, that's the driver really. It's like I'm always looking for the one image in the shoot or whatever that's gonna give me that feeling, that dopamine rush from knowing that I just hit a home run. And so it's really that simple. Like I'll do that and then literally just move on from that and then go on to the next thing and be already looking for that new rush again of like, okay, how can I do that again? How can I give myself that feeling again? Like I can still remember when I first took the Kobe image of him walking off the court and it's in black and now it's in black and white. But when I first took it,
Oh, dope.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's it.
Yep. That one right there. Like I can still remember when I took it and and it's like I'm already thinking about like, oh my God, like my friends, they gonna want to wait till they see this, like wait till people see this. Like, cause I knew what it was as soon as I seen it in the camera. I didn't put no treatments on it yet, nothing. And it was like, oh, I know what this about to be.
That's
And
dope.
so it's like when you get, and it's like now you're trying to chase that new high all the time of doing that over and over again. And for me, it don't have to be like with a celebrity. Like obviously that part helps because that helps with like the exclusivity side of it. Like it can feel like something that's familiar to other people because that's there. So it lowers the bar a little bit because like it makes the feeling accessible for people that don't really understand all of what it might have took. But for me personally, that doesn't have to be the case. Like I could totally get that feeling from somebody that like a stranger, too. So yeah, so like that's a part of it for me.
Like I'll tell two things. Like in the key art world, when I first started shooting key art, I was just excited about the opportunity to shoot it. Like it was fun. It was all fresh. It was new to me. But then you learn real quick. You end up shooting a lot of stuff on gray, like, and they're comping these things together. And so I got uninspired, to be honest, in key art, like extremely uninspired. I was like, man, another key art shoot some shit on gray. They gonna cut it out and do whatever. And then I was up for a key art shoot. I was like, can I get the script? I want to read it. And so I read all the scripts. But when I read it the first time, like I started seeing. Because, they used to send me clips and, like, little summaries and things, give you a little synopsis of what the story was. Mm-hmm. And that was helpful and cool. But then when the first time I got a script, I read it, and, like, I just started imagining how everything looked. Like, and they were like, do you want to see clips? I said, no, I just want to read it and let my imagination run wild, like, what these words look like in my head. And it became very easy for me to direct and connect with the talent. Because, like, they're actors, they want to get into it. I'm like, look, man, this scene right here where this happened, and I'm like, this is how I would react. Like, this is how I see it. And they're like, oh, yeah. It was, like, a quick, easy... I would get a rush from it, like, because I get excited about this type of shit. And, that excitement would feed into them, too. And so, for key art, like, that is how I've been inspired.
I talked about the rings. Marcus talked about the Kobe image. Is there an image that really stands out to you that like, that's the type of shit that gets me excited and keeps me inspired?
Let me think. I would say early on, the image that excited me, and so like all my images are going to be tied to like these long-winded stories, right? So the image that excited me early on is, I don't know if it's going to go in focus, is this one, right? Yeah. And it was because the gentleman in that picture, he used to intern for me. And then he ended up getting a series on Oprah. And we were like, a magazine reached out to me and they wanted to do a shoot. And they had thrown out some talent and he was one of the names. And I was like, yes, that's what we'll shoot. I'm like, I know him well. We go to church together now. Like, and then they were like, whatever you want to do, you can do. And so we're going to play with colors. And we did this whole series of like all these different colors, and we were I was on seamless, which at the time, like, I was heavy in the key art, so I was used to shooting on seamless. But I was like, I want to do it different. Like, we're going to rip holes in it. We're going to have you jumping through one of them. Like, we're going to layer it. We're going to do multiple color seamlesses. So that was like something that really, like, that shoot is one of my favorite shoots ever. Because, again, for my career, like, a lot of things have been like, all right, the client wants this, like, go achieve this, like, go do this. Like, it's very prescriptive. And I guess coming from my corporate background, like, I lean less into, like, drawing outside of those lines as much as I did, like I'm gonna make these lines as perfect, exactly how y'all want it. I'm gonna give you what you want, how you want it. But I ain't gonna go too crazy drawing outside them lines. But I can tell you what, I'm gonna deliver everything you want and a little bit more, but it's still gonna be within the confines of what you asked for. And that shoot was where it was like there were no confines. There was nothing that they just wanted the imagery, and I was like, all right, let me just let my shit go crazy in my imagination and let's play around. There were no time constraints or anything. Like, I got to just explore more. And then from that, like, the next one I would say, I've done this more like in my recent work. Like, I'll do shoots and we'll have all these confines and constraints. But then I feel like an image is the final image. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, in camera, getting a lot in camera is good, but like, I'm used to doing the composite world. Like, that's where I've come from. Like, so I can build some stuff. And I did this shoot with Jamie where I shot him through plexiglass. But then the way we finished the image, like, I love it. Like, I love how we basically made it like a hole that I was shooting through, up through, and people I get asked about all the time, like, was that a reflection? Like, how did you do this? And all this other stuff. And like, whether how I did it isn't as important. To me, the thing that's important is, like, it's a conversation, it's interesting, it's different. It was like a stretch for me to do it. And I pull inspiration. Like, I'm constantly intaking imagery. Like, I look at imagery a lot. And whether it's like, fine art, whether it's illustrations, or whether it's photos. And I'm constantly like inputting stuff into me. And it felt like the culmination of like all these things that I input into me that I was able to output in that image.
The thing that I'm coming down to after hearing your story, though, Eric, is that, I pride myself a lot on being able to nail a creative brief. You can give me a creative brief, I'm going to shoot the shit out the creative brief. I can get it, everything. I might go a touch over. But, Marcus, man, bro, how in the hell do you go above and beyond the fucking creative thing every single time? You don't just nail the creative brief. You shoot some shit that just like, you have me and Eric on the phone just be like, bro, what the fuck is that?
Like, his market is like, man, F this creative brief, I'm going in.
How do you
I'm make some art.
Yeah, how do you, at what point do you say, all right, I got what y'all want, now let me shoot my shit? And how do you process that in giving this job? And then you edit the shit, and then right after the job, you showing us these images in real time right after the job. Like, how?
Because it's mixtape. It's mixtape mentality, man. To some degree, like, Mike is one type of player, like Mike is the type of player that he gonna take the game serious. He gonna go out there. He gonna score 50. I want to be able to do that, but while I'm doing it, I also want to have. It's just that mixtape mentality of wanting to have the highlights, crossing over the dude and making them fall down. You know what I mean? And like everybody running on the court and going crazy and grabbing your jersey.
That's a great analogy. Because that's what it feels like when we see your images. You'll tell us about a job, and then you're like, yeah, I shot the job, but then check these out. And we like, oh shit.
But that's what I was talking about earlier. That feeling is the one that I want. That's what I am looking for. I'm looking for me to get it when I took it, and then when I share it with other people and they feel that way, then that's like the ultimate like dopamine rush for me. Like, that's like when I'm getting that energy from y'all when y'all are having that reaction. So I'm chasing that all the time of like, what can I do that people that know what's up are gonna react that way, because that's like the ultimate sign of like this is good to me, because like other people that know what it took are reacting with that like damn this is fire, you know.
Yeah.
So me, I personally am looking for that even when I'm on a shoot and it's a commercial thing going on and I got a brief and all that stuff. Like the briefs low key don't always like are just today are just not as dialed as they used to be. And sometimes when you're working with corporate clients, like, look, this is how we get paid now, you know. It's like I would love if the opportunities were still there in the editorial world where I could sign on to get a contract and be working, you know, with a magazine all the time, and they just kind of letting me go do what I want versus like what strictly just what the client wants or needs. Like, yeah, of course I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna always get that, but I gotta get something for my mixtape,
Yeah.
you know.
Love that, man. So I think this is a good stopping point for us. I think we put a lot of stuff out. This is going to be. I'm super excited about this because we shared a lot of good stuff, which I knew was going to happen. You know, I think for a long time we went through that period in time where is that you had to take a good picture. Everybody was trying to be the dope image maker. You know what I'm saying? I think now we're coming into perspective. You know, a lot of times you get hired not only just based off of relationship, but you got a point of view. You know what I'm saying? Like to everything that you talked about, Marcus, is about like, you know, it wasn't that you got this dope image. You got a great point of view, starting with your reference point. Eric, when you step on set, you know, you got a great point of view. You know, it's all based off of your point of view, based off of your experiences and your years that you've been in it. When I step on sets, it's like I have a point of view. And I think that that's overall the new thing that most people got to get comfortable with is really having a point of view. It's the old portfolio. Remember back in the day, it's like, where's your portfolio? And your portfolio should look like this, and your portfolio should look like that. Well, now with social media and everything, people want to see your point of view. I think we get hired more so now based off of our point of view and how we curate our own images versus how good the fucking photo is.